Everybody, the time has come. Listen, grab a snack, get comfortable. I have one of the most exciting people to me that I've had the privilege of connecting with, speaking with, and I have him here on the platform for us to sit down and talk. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, you know his music, you know his work. It's been hitting us in our spirits, in our churches, on the airwaves for years. None other than Dr. Leonard Scott, the founder, CEO of Tyscot Records. He is here today. I'm going to take a few moments for us to just talk and dive into some of the wonderful, amazing things that he's been doing over the years. Dr. Scott, once again, I thank you. I thank you for impacting myself and just taking out time out of your schedule to be with me today.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me and the opportunity to share.
Listen, ladies and gentlemen, I had to remind Dr. Scott of our first meeting a few years ago. The Stellar Awards honored him. And I had the privilege of being there. And I'm, sitting there talking with my wife. And, we look and he's walking our direction. And I was like, that's Dr. Leonard Scott. And I'm like, oh my God, Dr. Leonard Scott, and for a lot of people that, aren't church kids, aren't musicians, it may not affect you, the same way. But coming up, most of the artists that we mimicked, we emulated, we looked up to, they had a voice because of this man. Pastor John P. Key, Rance Allen, so many others over the years that he's literally allowed his platform to give them voices, not just to the nation, but to the world. And I'm sitting back like, this is the man who's brought all this great music. He's from the Midwest. I was from the East Coast, New Jersey. And if it were not for him, I know our music ministry would not have thrived the way it did. So, Dr. Scott, thank you for just, even in that first meeting, being so reserved and laid back. I was like, Dr. Scott, would you mind taking a picture with me? And you were just like, sure, and I mean, from there, again, it's just been a milestone for me to see someone, like I told you previously, that looks like me, and that, shown accomplishments. And we know it's through the hand and the power of Jesus Christ.
Right.
Let's dive into the beginning. I know you're from Indianapolis, Indiana, but 1989. That was such a pivotal year. Explain the establishing of Tyscot Records.
Well, we actually got established in 1976.
Wow.
When we started, incorporated. But we really got a big break when we signed, Reverend John P. Key. He was our first big artist, first one to have number ones and that kind of thing. We had little minor successes along the way, but really it was more of a hobby at that time than it was a real business. In fact, I didn't really get into this for it to be a business. I really got into it as a label for our church record to come out on. And, looking back now, I can see God orchestrating, but,
wow.
But back at the time, just our attorney told us that we needed to incorporate in case someone said we stole their song or something and we had other businesses. And he said, this will make it so that, they can't sue you or anything. The other businesses, it'll just, and so that's why we kind of incorporated. And then after that, other artists wanted to use the label, and sure, and it just kind of grew. And I had a guy tell me one time that, in fact, that the statistic back then was 1 record out of 9 would break even.
Wow.
In other words, if you do 9 records, one of them is going to make enough to pay for the record. The rest of them,
Wow.
And those aren't very good odds, you know. But and every year my attorney, not my accountant, would tell me, you know, this business is doing good, that one's doing good, and then he'd say, but you need to shut that record company down. He said, that's draining all the other ones. But I felt like it was a ministry, and um, and I didn't, you know, feel like, and I would tell him, well, you know, you golf, and I like to do records, you know, and he just kind of shake his head and say, okay.
Yeah.
But then, you know, as things began to develop, and uh, like John Key was, you know, the first uh, big artist that we had, and it kind of showed me that you know, if you got something that the people really want, you can really make it, you know. And and at the time though, and this was really amazing to me. We did have an artist at that time that had received a Grammy nomination on his first recording,
Wow.
and that's really rare.
Yes.
And the guy that distributed our records, you know, he told me that what you need to do is all your rest of your artists said, just put them aside, take everything you have and put it behind, you know, this artist. He said, because you don't, you know, you don't get Grammy nominations on your first recording.
Yeah.
And that sounded like a good idea, but I prayed about it, and the Lord said to not do that. He said to concentrate on this new artist who was, you know, John Key. And at that time, he was a new artist. Nobody knew him. And breaking any new artist, it doesn't matter who you are. If you're a new artist, you're a new artist.
Yeah.
It's hard to get airplay. It's hard to get into the stores because you're a new artist. Nobody knows you.
Yes.
And so it didn't make sense to me, but I've learned that if God says it, depend on it, you know.
Wow.
And I went back and told, you know, the industry mogul, you know, what I was going to do, and he said, "Man, you crazy."
Wow.
In other words, you're not going to make it in this business, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I just decided I'm going to depend on God, you know. And in retrospect, you know, we, you know, the second record on the artist that got the Grammy nomination, it didn't do that well, but John took off, you know. After about his, I guess his second record, he just, and you know, the rest is history.
Yes, because that Wash Me album, that Wash Me album, I think there's not too many churches, as far as the church choirs, which didn't try to, I mean, do most of the songs off of that album. You could go anywhere, I mean, New York, Jersey, Philly, Delaware, Maryland, and everybody in their repertoire had John P. Key songs.
Oh yeah,
Everybody.
yeah.
And it's funny that you had mentioned that, because oftentimes being a believer and being in the marketplace or being in the workforce, in their eyes, we look foolish.
Right.
When we're listening to the voice of God. You know, God simply told you not to do it. It sounded like a good idea. You know, God didn't give you all the details and the ins and outs of it. He just said, don't do it.
Right.
So then it becomes a thing of, am I going to listen to God? You know, or am I going to be influenced by this industry? And we see where, first of all, Pastor John P. Key, if you had given up, look at just the people, not just him, but connected to him, that you would have affected.
Right. Yeah.
Then look at all of the hundreds of thousands, if not millions of souls around the world that would not have been ministered to through him if you had given up.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm just reminded of, you know, the story of Noah.
Mm.
You know, everything was somewhat in his favor to give up because he was looking foolish. He looked foolish to tell the people, I'm going to build an ark because God told me it's going to rain. You know, but he had the courage to, in the beginning, look foolish enough to come out on the victorious end when it started to rain. Because
Right.
the same folks that told him he was looking foolish, the same folks that laughed at him were what the same folks that was knocking at the door saying, "Let me in."
Too late.
So um, listen, thank you. I'm sure Pastor Key has said it dozens of times, but thank you for standing fast and being courageous enough to listen to the voice of God.
Yeah.
And speaking of, you know, you said you established it primarily to just have your church choir record. As I told you previously, so many people that I've been telling about this interview and this opportunity did not know you were a pastor.
Mm.
Because nowadays, and I don't mention names, my purpose, is not to tear down anyone,
Mhm.
but we've seen where so many leaders have not truly respected the office, of a pastor, or if they have the office of a bishop, and they've chased more after celebrity
Mm.
than actual the work. So, you see them on the largest billboards and, all of this type of stuff. And I'm just like, there's nowhere where you can read about yourself where it's not mentioned that you're a pastor. I was like, but, you don't see Dr. Scott, bragging or, anything like that or whatever. I'm like, he's, you see him and it's always been the same, laid back, smooth, reserved vibe, you
Mhm.
know. So talk to us about ministry, because I think that's one of the areas where a lot of people may not be so privileged to understand as far as you being a pastor. So what was your start in ministry?
I wow. When did I start in ministry? I was saved. I was in dental school when the Lord saved me. And prior to that, I wanted to be a rock star. I had a big afro, man, believe it or not. Used to tie a bandana around it like Jimi Hendrix or something. And, when the Lord saved me, I got out of music altogether because music had really been my God.
Mhm.
And I got out of it altogether after about a year. Um, the Lord just gave me a release in my spirit, and I just got into choir. And
Wow.
our choir started having, well, not the choir, but the church started having some internal problems, pastor deacon type problems, And I went on a 3-day fast, shut in, and just prayed and fasted for 3 days. And at the end of that 3 days, um, the Lord started giving me songs, and I really had never really written. I tried to write songs, but nothing really happened before I got saved. And he just started. I had a tape recorder, so you know how long ago that was. A little
Wow.
tape recorder, and I
Yeah.
started singing these tunes and words and everything, just one after another. I think it's about eight or 10 songs, and man, it's been 50 years ago. But I took him to the church organist and asked him what he thought about him. And he said, "Man, I think we ought to do a recording." And so that's how that recording, got started. And it's almost like that. Um, it's almost like when I gave up music, it's like God took it and changed it and gave it back to me. When
Wow.
when He saw that I'm not going to let anything, you know, be before you, God. As much as I love this, I'm giving it all up. I just want to be saved. I just want to please you. I just want to, and it's like, yeah, because he gave it back to me. Now, I'm not no rock star or anything, but I got this company, and God did it, man. God did it, and he says, seek first the kingdom of God, his righteousness, and all these things. And I think that's where we miss it. We start seeking the things
Yes.
and forget about God, and we got to put him first. And I say that you said about ministry. I believe all of us are in ministry, really.
Yes.
From the time we make that decision that we want to walk with God, we want to forsake all for Him. And man, in my dental practice, I would pray with people. I'd pray with people, at the chair. And a lot of people come to dentists, they scared, man. They
Yes.
scared,
Yes. Those drills and
scared to death.
yeah,
And
needles.
Yeah. So, I don't reserve ministry for the pulpit.
Yes.
Ministry is every day. Whoever you come in contact with. I've sung to my patients, just when they jittery and they say, "Can I sing your song? Or can I pray with you?" And it works. It'll calm them down. Prayer is powerful.
Yes.
And man, I've had times when I get a hold of a tooth don't want to come out, a wisdom tooth or something, and it's like this ain't coming. I get to pray and hallelujah, Father, help me. That tooth come on out, man.
Look at the power of prayer.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And that's another thing, with the just the levels, the dynamics. You are a earned doctor. You are a dentist. And again, with just talking to people, and they're like, so he like not a doctor where you went and got an honorarium, honor doc. And I'm like, no. He's a dentist. Like, okay, Scott Dentistry. I'm like, that's his career. He's a tent maker in a sense. So what caused you to think about dentistry as a career, as a profession?
My dad wanted me to be a doctor.
Okay.
And I loved my dad, and I wanted to please him, but I was scared of blood, so I thought I'd be a dentist. Now that shows how I wasn't too bright, because most dentists see more blood than most physicians, unless the physician is a surgeon or something. Physicians don't deal with blood too much. Dentists do, though.
Yeah.
And so that's sort of how. And here's when I was young, I had very low self-esteem. And I really didn't think I could do it. But here's what I told myself. I'm gonna give it my best shot. I'm gonna work hard and give it my best shot. And when I fail, I'll be able to tell my dad, I tried my best. And I found out anything you try your best at, you're probably gonna do it,
Yes. Wow. That's because that's not something that you commonly hear. Most people that go into medicine, they think they may want to be a surgeon, but some people try to pick pediatrics or just general. But dentistry is not something too common. To know someone who actually went in that field is like, okay, what caused that thought? It's funny because I remember hearing an interview with Carmen, back in the day, and he was talking about how he was into rock music himself, and when he got saved, it was very identical to yourself. He had prayed, and he felt like God, played the trick on him because he knew his passion and his love for music. Now God just allowed him to do it for the kingdom. So a lot of the songs and just his connections and his network is like, okay, God, you gave me back, that thing that I love, to do. I'm just singing about the right person. I'm doing it in the right way, and the impact that you have had over the years with so many artists around the world. Let me ask you this question. Has there been any artist that you have not yet worked with that you desire to?
Wow. When you say not worked with, I've worked with a lot of, you mentioned Carmen. Carmen was on our label. We did a project on Carmen, man. That was, he's an interesting guy, man.
Yes.
Back in the day, they didn't know what to do with Carmen.
Yes.
I think we might have been at Benson at the same time he was, way a long time ago. And I remember them talking about him like, he don't fit nowhere. He really didn't fit anywhere. The type of music he did, they didn't know how to market him.
Yes.
And he was selling more than anybody. He was packing out stadiums. But they couldn't pigeonhole him.
Yes.
Yeah. I, man, there's so many great artists out there.
Mhm.
And we've had the opportunity to already to work with, as far as a company, like Vashawn Mitchell,
Yeah.
as he, when we first met him, he was working with Bishop Trotter. He was
Yes.
just his minister, choir director, But the guy, man, he had songs in him, just and we've seen his career blossom, 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 and um, Dietrich Haddon. Now, his dad and I have been friends, through the years,
Oh,
and we were sitting at an event one time, and it was a convention, and we were just having lunch there, and he just said, "You know what? You need to. My kids got a pretty good sound. You need to hear my kids, And
wow.
and that's what they were then. They were kids,
Wow.
And he gave me a cassette tape. There you go, that cassette tape again,
Yeah.
and a little demo tape, and I brought it back, and we kind of liked what we heard on it, and that's kind of how Dietrich's career got launched, just through their youth choir at the church. Oh man, of course, Rance Allen.
Yes.
My
Yeah.
my my son kind of got that one going. It's like something happened. He heard, Rance, and he was like, whose label is he on? And they told him he ain't on nobody's label. Got in touch with his manager. Manager said, I don't think we're not interested, but he kept, because Rance is probably, uh, at one time, I'm not sure about now, but at one time he was the busiest artist we had. I mean, as far as like being booked, but most of it was preaching.
Yes.
Most of it was preaching. It wasn't really singing. Well, of course he would sing wherever he went.
Yeah.
But as far as like the band and the group going out,
Yeah.
concerts, and he there were some, but
Yeah.
every week he was somewhere.
Yes.
And so he wasn't, he really wasn't really looking for a record deal,
Yeah.
But my son kept on calling and said, we think, he got more in him,
Mhm.
we got more in him. And finally he said, well, okay, we'll give it a try. See what happens,
Wow.
And he's done, he's gone places on the second wind of his music career, than
Yeah.
he did even like, on the first wind. So that's been exciting.
And the thing is, just speaking of, Vashawn and Rance, I mean, these are all amazing, amazing artists, men of God, where, from the surface, and I remember, for years listening to Bishop Larry Trotter, and you see him with Sean direct.
Right.
And, it's something when you see people have potential, and or when they have more, and for Vashawn, it was like he got to have more to him than that, So that's why when he started to do solo things, as far as his music, it was like wow, like that was the guy that was directing, but
Right.
it's more in him, or like you said with Rance, Bishop Rance Allen, him being in Church God in Christ, that's the organization I came up in, and for years, Rance the preacher, I mean he's gonna kill you dead with songs, but I mean that's what it was like. Anywhere you see him preach, everything you hear on a record, or what Rance is gonna do that in people's churches,
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's not performance mode. That's him. You
Right.
give him a microphone, and I've seen where Rance has said, I'm not gonna do too much tonight. It's like yeah, whatever. And it's like just drop the mic. It's over with.
Right.
Or people like he just said he's gonna hold back a little. Like what? Like he just wrecked it. Like came and wrecked it.
Yeah.
So again, just amazing. You talked about your son being the I guess key component in signing Bishop Rance Allen. A lot of people may not know you're the father of 7
Right.
children. Now your children. What roles do they play in the Tyscot dynamic?
That's a good question. All of them, seem to have some musical inclination. My wife and I, as we raised them, we didn't force them to go into any particular area, but we tried to expose them to the different things, especially the things that we were doing um, as we were coming up. Um, we had a back in the day, we had a nursing home, and they all worked in the nursing home. We had the record company; they all worked in the record company. We had the dental practice; they all worked in the dental practice. Uh, and then as they grew older, well, my oldest son, he he's a career Navy, so he's been in the Navy about 30 something years now.
Okay.
Then my second son, second oldest, Bryant, is the one that runs the record company. Now it's amazing. He came. He was going to be a dentist. He had
Okay.
taken all the requirements, and um, he was already accepted into the next dental class. He had one class to pass over the summer. They had accepted him, pending him passing that class. During this time, he comes to me and says, "Dad, I think the Lord wants me to help you with the record company." And at this time, the record company wasn't. It was doing better than it was doing, but it still wasn't doing as well as the dental practice. And and I said, "Whoa, are you sure?" And he said, "Yeah, I think so." And so I'm not gonna box with God. Here another thing doesn't make natural sense.
Yeah.
But I said, "All right, well, that's what you feel. Let's do it." And at that point, things started to turn around with the record company, and started, to go in the other direction. And the Lord, let me know that He had anointed him to do that. And yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
And,
Well,
and as a father, let me just say again, with things not seeming logical. Like you said, one more class, and dentistry, the dental practice is doing exceptionally well. That's a great career, to have.
right,
I've never seen any dentist, say, "Hey, I got to file bankruptcy because there's no work." But for him as a young man to say, similar to yourself, Dad, I'm listening to God.
right,
you know
yeah,
I feel the leading of God, and him willing to step out there, and then you as a father, not just willing to say, well, this looks good, or this will be good. um,
right,
because the one thing I know, every good idea is not a God idea.
right, right,
So many people get caught up in, well, that was a good idea. Yes, it was a good idea. Nobody's saying there's nothing evil about it, but if it's not what God wants you to do,
right,
you know, then it's not the right idea.
right. And
You
then
know,
those good ideas can keep you from doing the God ideas.
exactly, exactly. Wow.
Yeah.
Um, what over your span of pastoring, what would you say has been some of the personal achievements? When you look back, how God has used you in the ministry and has, anointed you to impact so many souls. Just what are some of the achievements that you can say that you've experienced from a pastoral point of view?
Hallelujah. We've had our ups and we've had our downs.
All right.
Uh, I remember my wife saying one time, she said, "Honey, this pastoring thing wouldn't be so bad if it wasn't for the people." And so, you're dealing with people, you're dealing with a lot of, volunteers, and it's a growth situation, not only for the people but for the pastor also. It's I've seen God grow me um,
Mm,
in situations, dealing with people, because sometimes you want to be hard on people, but then you have to see, God, you ain't been hard on me. We want
mhm.
to require stuff out of other people. Um, that God have given us mercy on. So it teaches us, or it has for me, it's taught me more patience. It's
Yes.
taught me more forgiveness. Um, it's taught me, how to um, try to discipline without killing somebody, and sometimes you learn that the hard way. Out of my 7 children, none of them are the same. You
Wow.
can be one child, you just keep telling them over, you'll beat them half to death, and they still don't get it. Next child, you just look at them and they go to crying and repenting. Like, just they different, and you have to learn people are different. Um,
Yes.
some people, it takes harshness. Other people, it takes tenderness, and that keeps you on your face. That keeps you in prayer because, you we don't know people's hearts. Only
Mhm.
God knows people's hearts, and sometimes, He'll give us a spirit of discernment to be able to see somewhat, but if I could say one thing, stay on your face. If you're gonna pastor God's people, pray, get instruction and direction from Him, because I tell you, you can't do that thing by yourself.
Mhm. Wow. Wow. Words of wisdom from a pioneer. Um, when it comes to, I've had the privilege of checking you out, yourself and your wife, with the worship that
Mhm.
you both do.
All
Um,
right.
tell us what brought that about, because I find it to be so refreshing.
Mhm.
Um, you know, thank God for the artists that got the super bands and all of that. But sometimes, it's just a refreshing, laid back, just worship where it's not
Yeah.
busy at all, where the music can breathe and speak to you. Um,
Yeah.
so just tell us about what brought that about.
And that's exactly what kind of brought it about. We wanted to, and you can get during this pandemic where everybody's kind of locked in. You can't come into your churches with full congregations and all of that,
Yes.
and we found that when we're watching something, even um, we'll sit there on the couch and watch it, but we don't really worship,
Hmm.
And then we did. We started getting up and worshiping, and praising Lord. And we felt, what? If we were doing that, other people probably not getting up and worshiping either. They're getting a good word and they're enjoying some good music, but are they clapping their hands? Are they raising their hands? Are they singing the songs? And
Hmm.
so we said, what? Let's go on, and not as a polished group. So often when you go on, you want to put your best forward, but just as to lead in worship, not for people to sit there and watch us, but for people to get up and sing along with us and clap their hands and raise their hands and dance or whatever, and that would be the gist of it. That would be the purpose of it, not to sit there and watch us and see whether we miss a note or not, but to actually get into it and sing the songs, and even give us songs that they may want us to sing or that they want to sing. That uh, and what we've started doing is bringing other artists on. I think Ruth Leandra is going to be with us next Friday. It's Friday live at 5 on
Hmm.
Fridays, and I think she said she's got a Galante Gavin lined up to be with us. Oh wow, yeah. DeAndre Patterson was with us a couple of weeks ago. Michael Lee
Yes.
was with us just yesterday, and so we're starting to bring on somebody else to sing, and we tell them we want you to sing a hymn. We don't want you to sing your hit.
Hmm.
We want you to sing what other people can sing along with you, and so and we ask people to do that. We ask them to get up and sing along, and I pray that they are. Of course, I can't see what they're doing, but I pray that they are. We do get good response though in the chats that they're enjoying it and keep doing it, and those kind of. So we think hopefully it's meeting a purpose.
Well,
Hopefully.
I know that it is. I know that it is. Just from the experience, like I said, being able to just worship freely, not feeling like you're in a straitjacket, or not feeling like you're being judged, or you're actually performing, to just worship freely, and to feel the liberty in it. It's refreshing. It's refreshing. Um, the author side of Dr. Leonard Scott. Um, Tell us a little bit about how that came about.
That's real interesting. Years ago, I felt like I was supposed to write a book. I just and the Lord told me to write a book, and I didn't know. He didn't tell me what to write about. And so uh, I go to these services. You go to these revival services, and you get into prayer line on more than one occasion. And I got up to my time for them to lay their hands and anoint me. They looked in my eyes and said, "God said, where's the book?" You know.
Wow.
And so I hired a lady that was a writer, to kind of help me, and she said, "Well, what you want to write about?" I said, "I don't know. I don't know. I just know I'm supposed to write a book." And she said, "Well, get a tape recorder." There's that tape recorder again. She said, "Just get a tape recorder and just start, talking into it, and maybe it's supposed to be about you." And I said, "Okay." I did that. And then I went to a service and got in the line, and this minister, he looked at me and said, "God said, where's the book? And you got 10 more after that." I hadn't done the first one yet. I said, "Oh, I better get started."
Wow.
Hallelujah. And so with the first book, Soaring with Eagles, and I found out something. I found out that as you go, as you step out on faith and just do, even though you don't understand, Abraham, God told him, just to go. He didn't tell him where to go. He said, go. And Abraham stepped out on faith and just started walking. And as he went, God gave him more direction. And I found out that's what it was with me. As I went, God gave me more direction. And so that first book, Soaring with Eagles, that was around the time that I started pastoring. And I found out that when I was young, everybody went to church. Everybody, you know,
Mhm.
saints, sinners, everybody. It was just part of your lifestyle. You went to church on Sunday. I remember a lot of times my parents, before my parents were saved, they'd be clubbing all night. They'd come home. And even when they wouldn't go to church because they was, too tired, they'd send us
Mhm.
down to the corner church, to go to Sunday school or something. I mean, it was just,
Yeah.
part of your life. But when I started pastoring, I found out there's a whole generation of people that have not had that experience, that
Wow.
they haven't gone to church, they haven't sent their kids to church, they don't know nothing about church, and God is sending them in and saving them, and the thing is, they don't have a clue. When I got saved, by me coming up in church, even though I wasn't saved, I knew something. You sit there, you're gonna get some, but so when people start talking about the blood of Jesus, I'm not thinking cannibalism, or nothing, because we got a jargon, in the church.
Yes. Yes.
um, and I actually had that happen where a guy, one of the church members, brought uh, his girlfriend, and she had never been to church.
Okay.
And at the end, he said, she wants to talk to you, and she thought we was some kind of, doing stuff like when we talk about blood and stuff. She thought we was some kind of cult or something. What are y'all doing over here? And it's, they just don't know. And so that book is like a Christianity 101. It just gives a whole lot of basic information of who God is, who the devil is, um, what is prayer, what is fasting, just basic stuff
Yeah.
that's in the Bible, but it would take you a while to get it.
Yes.
Just through the years. Most people that been around church or in church, they know most of this, but it is a good refresher also for so that's what that Soaring with Eagles is all about. And the second book that we did is Be Lifted Up. And I taught for a number of years, I taught principles of worship at a Bible college. And I never had a text that I could really get every aspect of what I wanted to teach about doing that course. and during the semester, and I had a bunch of different books. And so this book, Be Lifted Up, is actually a compilation of my uh, uh, notes, teaching notes from that course.
Okay.
And that talks about different aspects of worship, and this is physical worship, like lifting your hand, why we lift our hands, why we dance, or is dancing biblical, those kind of things, um, praise, praising him with your mouth, singing, those kind of things, or speaking, or shouting, the different ways
Yes.
to worship him. But the third book that I did is The Ultimate Boost from Within.
Yes.
And this deals with uh, holistic health, physical health, the physical man, the emotional health, deals with mental health, deals with financial health, deals with spiritual health, it deals with relationships, um, every aspect, because the deal is that if one of those is broke, the whole thing is broke. It's like a chain.
Mm.
If you have one weak link in a chain, the whole thing breaks. And so we have to be um, healthy all the way around, every part of us.
Wow. Wow. That's something that we are all going to be able to feed off of, um, you know, just over and over again. And one of the things that you ended with was, as far as the link, you know,
Mm,
if one part is weak, then all of it is affected. And for years growing up, I would, constantly ask pastors and leaders. You see people that are great and powerful
hmm
inside the church walls, anointed and, I mean, just flawless.
right,
So it seems from a child's perspective, but their day to day living
right,
seemed total opposite. That same power didn't transfer when they left the church.
hmm
So there was other aspects of their lives that was not equivalent to the spirit man.
right,
Their finances, their emotional. So as long as you was talking church, they were fine.
hmm
But it was just all the other areas. So that's something that definitely, just as people, as believers, we need to maintain, do self checks to make sure those other areas are as healthy.
right,
There may be some areas that you're a little stronger in, but there should not be unhealthy areas in our
right.
lives.
Yeah,
Um,
that's a good point too. That I like to bring out is that it's not really hard to be healthy. It doesn't take a whole lot. It does take something,
mhm.
but a lot of people think that you have to be an athlete to be healthy.
Yes.
You have to be in shape. Like buff.
Yeah.
Go to the gym every day. Well, if you're gonna run a marathon, you need that. If you want to be an athlete, you do need to do that.
Yeah.
But you can be healthy without that.
Mhm.
Just by making some um, really minor changes in lifestyle, the way you eat. You do need to do some kind of exercise. But you don't
Yes.
have to. You don't have to hit every machine. Every day.
Yes.
Unless you want to be an athlete, which is nothing wrong with that, or and be in shape. But you don't have to do that in order to walk up a flight of stairs without getting winded. You just need to do a few
Yes.
things in a lifestyle change. And our book during this pandemic, a lot of people are dying from the pandemic because their immune systems are weak and not able to fight it off.
Yes.
Far more people are living than are dying. But the thing is, some of the ones that are dying really don't have to be dying if they had a stronger immune system.
Yes.
They say that the ones that are dying usually have some kind of underlying, not always, but like diabetes or
Yeah.
heart condition, and these things come from unhealthy living.
Yes.
Just unhealthy lifestyle. And we've made the book available during this pandemic for the ebook for $2.99. that was as inexpensive as Amazon would allow us to make it. But we want to make it available,
Yes.
uh, because it can really help you. It can help you change your lifestyle, to where you can be healthy, and your body can fight off, these things. And sometimes it's not just your physical body. Sometimes it's your emotions that,
Yes.
that can weaken you. Sometimes it's your mind that can weaken you. So, yeah, all that.
Well, listen, everybody. Dr. Scott done already let it be known. I was going to touch on it, but listen, the ebook, go on to Amazon. Make sure you get that, but get all the rest of them because all of them are nuggets of wisdom that we can all, again, reach back every now and then. Just like the Bible, every time you read it, it's going to feed you. All of these materials are there to feed us to make sure that we have the balance or the holistic aspect of living and not just existing in life.
Mhm.
So, Dr. Scott, we talked about the record company, we talked about pastoring, dentistry, you being an author, all of these things that you've been able to do and have great fruit, great success. Um, what is a hobby for Dr. Leonard Scott? Do you golf? Do you bowl? Do you play baseball? What is a hobby of yours that you
I,
just do for fun?
I tell you, I like to play guitar.
Okay,
I play guitar.
okay, okay. And that's, I mean, again, just relax with it. Oh, I like to
I,
play guitar.
I guess I'm still trying to be that rock star, man.
Listen, in your own way, you're rocking out. You're rocking out, definitely. Um, what are some of the goals that you have for yourself, over the next few years?
Well, this is a new chapter, a new season in my life. We're kind of phasing out of the dental practice now. You asked about my children. I have one daughter that is a dentist, and she started out with me. She was with me about 10 years. I was going to turn it over to her, and then she decides she wants to get married, and she marries somebody that don't live here. So,
Wow.
um, yeah, um, so she ends up moving, and but the Lord had a ram in the bush. I had a granddaughter that's a dentist now, and so
Okay.
she's come into the practice, and she's taking it over now, and she's anointed to do what she does, um, and then just watching my children and grandchildren just develop into the people that God has chosen them to be. I have um, a daughter that's a MD. I have a daughter that's a attorney, um, and their careers are blossoming um, right now, and the record company, we're getting more into visual things. Of course, people are visual today,
Yeah.
and so we're looking at doing some things that are like movies and those kind of things coming through, and um, just I'm working on a new book, working on a new music project.
Okay.
In fact, we were all set to do this big hymns project.
May
Uh,
19th.
yep. Mm. And then coronavirus stepped in and said, "You ain't doing it that way."
Yeah.
Yeah, we had rented out the church, and but we're still planning on doing it. But we're gonna have to do it virtual. We're gonna have to do it a lot different than we had planned on doing it. It's gonna probably end up being like a studio project with,
Okay.
but and then having the guest artists will be doing some of the leads and things. Uh, just sending them the tape and letting them do their part and putting it back, putting it all together
Yeah.
and just making it work. Um, so, and the book that we're working on is just um, it's something that intrigued me. I got to looking at how we have five physical senses. Well, we have more than five, but five main senses:
Mhm.
sight, hearing, smelling, tasting, and touching.
Yes.
And I got to looking at it, and we really have uh, really 15 senses that because we got those same five senses. Now, the ones we have in our physical body, we deal with the outside world. But
Mhm.
then you have those same senses where you deal with yourself. And then you have those same senses where you deal with God and God deals with you. And
Mhm.
there are examples of it all through the Bible. And it's been exciting just researching that thing out and putting it together. And so that's what we're working on right now.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah.
Well,
But
I was prepared May the 19th
yeah,
to be there and to check it out. I said, this is right here it's just gonna be one for the record books. And when I seen it was postponed, of course, due to what we're dealing with.
right,
But I definitely said this is not something that can be uh, put on the shelf. It's just paused. So
right, right.
I definitely want to know uh, when that's going to be coming out, how that's going to be done. Even if I have to come play the cowbell or the triangle or something like that. You're just about 4 hours from me, so
Oh wow.
I do not mind coming to Indianapolis, helping in any capacity in any way. Um, Dr. Scott, we thank you for your time, uh,
Mm,
for all of this wisdom, all of this great dynamic wisdom that you've poured into us on today, just giving us different aspects, not just of your life, but overall how God can take a vessel
mm,
that is willing and obedient. And like you said, it wasn't until you started going where he gave more, information.
mm.
But thank you for sharing and just being willing to take those steps,
Yes.
even while you were blind. Um,
Right, right.
thank you. Live at 5, everybody. Make
Yeah,
sure
it's
you check
Fridays. It's
Friday,
Eastern time, 5 Eastern time.
5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Fridays, live at 5.
That's
Uh,
Facebook. On my Facebook page is Bishop Leonard Scott, and we'll be right there.
Yes. One day I'm gonna have to join you, Bishop. I play a little bit organ and
Oh
piano,
wow, yeah.
so you can play guitar and Mother Scott can play, and I'll sit there and play with her. Doesn't matter. Um,
Unfortunately, we can't play at the same time. But there's too much of a lag, With
okay.
so only now if we were in the same room we could,
Yeah.
but like being where you are and
Yeah.
where I am,
Yeah.
it don't come across at the same. Somebody else watching is not gonna come across.
Well, I might try to pre-record mine and just send it. And
Okay,
just play
but
it through the speaker.
what we do, we just have you do your part. What you're doing, where you're doing, to do your song.
Okay.
We can't sing with you, but we can enjoy it. While you do.
Y'all can give me a few ideas of some of your favorite hymns,
Yes, yes.
and we can take it from there. But Dr. Scott, again, thank you. Um, well deserved honor. Like I said a few years ago with the Stellar Awards, just achievements that you've done, and just for all the hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of people around the world that your obedience to God has affected, um,
Mm.
and definitely encouraged. Thank you for standing on the wall. Thank you for staying true to the purpose that God has for your life, and thank you for being obedient.
Oh yeah.
Um,
I have a gift also for your audience. If if they would text to 864 657 2688, their email address, they'll get a free download of one of our songs from off the Jesus Love Legacy Project, as well as the first chapter to the book, free download of the first chapter of the book. Or either they can go to Bishop L. Scott, text Bishop L. Scott to 22828, 22828. And same thing, get a free download and first chapter of the book.
Listen, everybody, y'all heard it. All right. Send that information, get that free download, get the first chapter of the book. I promise you, it's going to help your life transform in a mighty way. And we just look forward to more. And we just look forward to continue to be impacted by the work and the life of Dr. Leonard Scott. Bishop, we thank you for the day. Blessings and continued favor with you and your family, with everything that you're doing. The grace of God is upon you, and continue to have fun. And we're going to talk again. And at some point we'll meet up, and we can all just sit around and just play.
Oh man, that'd be awesome. That'd be awesome.
Together. And then after that, we can go and do some healthy eating. We can do some healthy eating. But Bishop, thank you.
That's part of our culture, isn't it?
Absolutely, absolutely. But again, have a wonderful day. You and the family stay safe, definitely.
Yes.
And we'll talk again, Bishop.
All right, we love you, man. Thank you so much.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye.